Hi guys, welcome to this Ableton Live tutorial. My name is Craig, or Santa, some of you guys know me. Today, by popular demand, we're going to start building a little house track. So we'll go over the sort of basics of how to construct a track. We'll look at adding additional chord stabs. We'll look at adding leads to it as well. We'll look at vocals, look at pads, and then we'll work on the breakdown as well. So I've got a little track here at the moment, which I made earlier. I'm just going to sort of deconstruct it for you so you can see what I've done. This is the track, this is it so far. So what I've done for this, just so you get an idea of the sort of elements that I've been using: kicks at the top here, just standard 4 on the floor. I've actually just used a 909 for a lot of this. It was quite a lot easier to make everything with the drum rack and then just drawing all the notes in. It's just something I've started to do recently. I've got another one here. So we've got a kick pattern that's running. We've also got a click pattern too. So the kick, as you can tell here, that's a normal kick there. So effects that we've got in there for the click, we've brought the EQ up just so it's not affecting the frequencies of the main kick. It's just the click that's going through. And then the main kick, we've got some compression, saturation, and we've got a utility on there which is making the signal 100% mono because we want the kick to be going straight down the middle. So if you take the effects off, let's take the effects off here. In fact, let's put them in a group. To put things in a group, Command G, that puts your effects in a group. So listen to that on its own. That's just the kick with the effects on. You can see a massive difference. The saturation, pushing the bass and the drive up in the saturation just gives it that massive boom. We've sent this to a group, so we've combined the two together. In fact, we'll turn these off as well, put the drum bus in this group here. Ableton are actually doing a free 90-day trial of Live 10. If any of you guys haven't got it yet, I did post it on the group earlier, but it's a good little offer since we're all pretty stuck in isolation. Very kind that the developers and the guys at Ableton have done that for us. So yeah, jump onto the website if you've not got Live 10, because there's some really cool extra processing. There's the wavetable synthesizer, which I'll show you in a little bit, and there's also the effects like the drum bus, which is so well designed. It just gives such an extra bit of clarity and punch to the drums. I'll let you hear for an example here. So here's for the kick, the processing has been glue compressor just to glue the two of these kicks together. Some EQ boosted at the bottom end just to give a little bit extra low end growl, and then a little cut in the middle just to take away the unwanted 250 Hz frequencies. Actually, that's a little bit. You'll hear what I mean in a second. And then the drum bus just makes it really fat. So if we take this out here, see what I mean? How there's that sort of over fatness of the kick. I'll take this out. I don't need that one. Just a little bit of gain reduction there. See what it does? Just makes it punchier, and then the drum bus is a weapon. Just make sure when you're doing this to keep everything game staged, because obviously the drum bus is going to make quite a big difference to the volume. You can do it there, or you can do it actually on the channel as well. So I've turned the volumes in there. You can use a utility, whatever you like. So that's that there. For percussion, I've just added everything in sort of manually. So different patterns, you can hear it here. I'm going to turn these effects off quickly as well. We can turn this off here. I've got two hats running, complementing each other. So again, this is just using a 909. I've tried to keep everything as stock as possible, or free as well, so you don't have to go out and buy expensive plugins. So there's two different hats on the Ableton stock 909 kit. So you've got one closed hat that's quite thin, and then you've got with a really short decay, and then you've got another one which has got less decay, more decay on it. So by balancing the two of those, you get a nice sort of dynamic effect. I'll let you hear the whole thing in a second. Main hat. Now you're probably wondering how to make the hats shorter, to make them nice and snappy, depending on what style you're trying to do. So you can go into Ableton's envelope here. So when you get the drum bus up, click on your open hi-hat. That will open up the actual sample itself. If you go into your controls, now it might be sat on this. Let's go into here, one shot. It might be like that, and you're not able to do that, and you're not able to play about with the envelope. That's because it's on one shot. If you put it to classic sample mode, you've got full control over everything. Turn pitch envelope off, amplitude, and that plays about with the amplitude. Now by playing about with your release time, if you listen here, your release is how long your note is held after it's been hit. So if you want a nice, really short sound, I'm going for a sort of micro housey kind of sound in this, and that's how you use that. Same with your clap. You can make it shorter as long as you want. The snares, I've got a little snare pattern which varies throughout the whole track. It's just a little snare sample that I've got here. Just something to give a bit extra. And then the shakers on the top, which I've made super tight. It's a sample that I've got there. It's actually from a remix pack that I was using before. So that's just doing 16th notes. I've got the groove pool, so I've loaded the groove from the groove pool, from the selection of grooves that we've got. I've loaded the MPC Swing 61. If you didn't catch it in the last tutorial, you can just look up Swing in your search bar at the top, go to all results, and then you've got loads of different swing modes. You can hear here, and then all you do to add it down is just simply drag it, and then that's you, and then you've got your swings. So cool, that's it there, that's all I've done for this. So if we listen to the groove, I've also got a little tom that's a little pattern at the end. I'm going to change that slightly. Might keep it the same actually. And for processing of the percussion, what I've done, I've actually made everything up nice, and I've made a template project. So what you can do, if you know what sort of music that you're going to be making, this is something I got from a producer called Josh Lee. It's quite obvious stuff, but if you want to get projects out quickly and you want to get your tracks released quickly, if you've got everything already in front of you, you've got everything all labeled, you've got everything EQ'd, you know, like I've got my reverb, like all my sends and everything at the bottom. Don't worry about that just now, we can go into that in a bit more detail later on. But just having everything ready, once you start making a lot more music, you'll realise what elements you use more. You can start to create sample packs that have got all your favourite sounds in it, so then when it does come to making your track, you've got everything there, and you can all preload it up. I'm still in the process of doing this right now. I need to actually get a solid sound bank, and I need to work on like all my presets for my synths and everything. But yeah, it's definitely a really good tip that Josh gave me for getting everything organised. So you can see I've got things here like the snare. I know I'm going to have a crash, a vocal, a snare. I'm going to have build-up elements, of pads, some FX, and some of the So and I've got some samples in here as well. What samples I'm going to use. So this here, percussion, effects I've got on it, glue compressor, gluing it all together, a utility, because there's one thing that I've done with this. If I'm going really quickly here, guys, just leave some messages in the comments box, and I'll, because I know everybody's at different levels with these classes, so yeah, just leave a wee message and I can answer anything in a little more detail, or just give me a private message. I'm happy to help. So audio effects track here, so I've got a glue compressor. Let's turn them on individually. So glue compressor. So I've got the threshold. I'm getting quite a lot of bite from this. So when I have quite a lot of compression on it. Another thing that I've done is I've turned the makeup gain right the way up, because see, when you get to the top of your gain threshold, it starts clipping, and that can give quite a nice, depending on what kind of music that you're trying to make, it gives a nice distorted sound. By changing between soft and hard clippings, you can hear how it clips at the top. It's basically like a limiter. So a limiter, like, it doesn't let anything go above, but it basically adjusts how nicely it gets treated, essentially. So I'm going to have transients coming through there. So that's obviously, I've brought the volume right the way up to plus 16, so I need to bring it down. I brought it down minus 11 because I need. Yep. So then we've got EQ, cutting all the bottom end stuff out. Can't even speak. And then giving everything a boost around 1K just to let the main elements come through. Saturation, bring it up a bit. I'm not going to try and wet it right the way up because I don't want to get completely affected. And then I've got a really cool tool here, which is by Flux. If you Google this, you'll be able to get the Flux completely for free. They do things called the Bittersweet. They've got a lot of different plugins. This one's completely free, which is why I've included it in this tutorial. And what it does is it's a transient shaper. So you get to basically the transient is the sound, the sound that is after the main hit. I don't know how to describe it. It's the sound after the main hit. So yeah, basically by controlling the transients, you can control the bite of the sounds. We can see here if we put it. I'm sure I could have probably explained that a hell of a lot better. But yeah. See how it just makes it seems like everything's made a lot more staccato. Just because it takes by making it bitter, it makes the transients a lot shorter. Do it the opposite way around. Hear the difference? One thing I'm going to do with this shaker, which I've forgotten to do, is put a auto pan. Cool, so we're ready to start building basically. We've got the main element here. I'm sorry, we're not quite ready to start building here, but because what we essentially want to do is we want to build the entire track in an 8-bar loop. So we have everything basically in front of us, like the main section, and then we just start stripping it and then constructing it basically. So we would take the main section, place it in where the main section would be, and then just start building back from there. Add some bits in the middle, take some kicks away, and that's it. Simple. It's the same, and I'll show if we have time, depending on how long this takes. We might need to do it in another tutorial, but I'll try and get as close to like the breakdown and actually breaking things down, adding new elements, and then coming in the drop again. So we'll try and get the first drop done. But if we can get it done quickly enough, I say it's only me that's making this. You guys are just watching. We'll try and get as far as possible. So let's now go into our bass. So bass we have here. I've got. I'm not going to use the FM8 because that costs money. But you can get the same. You can get the same effect from Ableton's own FM synthesizer, which is the operator. So if we go on to operator here, so you go into your instruments. Operator is an operator synthesizer. So this is our operator here. Oh, we need to enable the right thing. So record enabled. I've got a MIDI keyboard here. So I've got this already set up as a preset, because I know, like, I was able to create the sound beforehand. But operator, let's see if I can just get a normal sound. We'll come over here. All right, okay. So when you go on operator, you normally just have a sine wave. Let's turn this down a little bit. Oh, got the delay again. Woohoo! Yeah, so when you go on to operator, that's your normal sound. Now, what you can do is you can add different. So there's 4 different oscillators here. So an oscillator will provide a different signal, and you can control the volume and what happens with it. So let's just say, if we start to, let's just draw in a little pattern just now. I'm going to have to draw it because I've got this horrible delay. I've got a really old MacBook Pro and it doesn't like working hard. It only likes running one program at once. As soon as you give it another program, it goes in a bit of a huff and starts going, Rah! This is what it's doing right now. an idea of what I'm going to do here. Conflicting with the tom because the tom's a low frequency. So let's bring this down an octave. So what we can do is we can add part of this second oscillator into the mix. By adding, you can hear the frequency. You'll be able to hear the frequency here. This puts it up in whole harmonic tones. If you listen to what we do here, so you can add as much or as little frequency. Play about with the operator synth because it's a really cool bit of kit. When you start adding lots of different levels of different things, automatically by default it's a sine wave, and basically by mixing all these different frequencies, FM synthesis is so cool. By mixing all these different frequencies you get some super cool sounds. And then when you start playing about with the envelope, so the envelope controls how the note is hit, how it's affected, how like after the note's hit, like before the note's hit. So you can play about with the attack and the release and the decay. I'll show you guys at a later stage about FM synthesis. I'm still learning about it just now, but it's really impressive the sounds that you can get. But even say for example here, so we don't want too much of that. So I want to get that like really housey dub sound. So I don't want, so the sub frequencies that we've got at the bottom, so let's turn this off. We want that to be the main driving element, like to actually drive the track along. We'll try and get that housey dub, so if you just bring the decay down, it's only affecting the... Let's bring this. Let's make these notes a bit longer. I'll change the swing on it. So there we go, we've got pretty much our main bass that's in there, which already, it's got not only our... By playing about with the decay you can sort of dictate the amount of sort of that belly kind of noise that you've got. You can dictate how long that lasts for afterwards. Cool, so we've got the main bass element here. It's not really, so what we don't want it conflicting with the kick too much. So there's two ways that we can combat this. We can bring the velocity down here, and that sort of or there's other ways that you can do it, such as sidechain compression, which is what I've got set up here. I've got a wee EQ here, which is cutting it about 30 Hz, but also giving it a little bit of a boost at 100 to make it a bit more present. the sidechain does, by sidechaining anything, we're just going to do it off the kick at the moment. I think I mentioned this in the last tutorial about sidechaining things off of like sidechaining shakers off the hi-hat. But with this, whenever the kick hits, what the compressor does is it squashes the bass because they're both going to be fighting for the same frequency. So you can hear when that note's getting hit at the same time, the compression from the kick, so we can turn the ratio up. The compression from the kick will make sure that the sound gets squashed so it's not interfering with the sound of the kick. So I've got another little, where are we here? So the volume's okay. Obviously, check your levels periodically. You don't need to make everything perfect when you're mixing because you don't want to ruin when you're producing, because you don't want to ruin your creative process. As soon as you get stuck trying to fiddle about with stuff, you start to lose the creative edge, so just try and keep everything running as smoothly as possible. So I use another plugin which is called Max Bass. I won't use it for now, but I'll let you hear what it does. Basically what it does is it'll take the original sound. If you can get it. It's by Waves. The Waves are amazing. Get the full Waves pack. It's a wee bit expensive, but it's absolutely worth it because it's got so much stuff in it. Let's turn that back. So basically what it does is it adds different harmonic frequencies just to give the bass a little bit. You can see it on the EQ band there, just to give it that extra little bit of presence. Cool, we're going to keep that in for now, but you don't necessarily need it. You can fire a drum bus on there, just something to give it a little bit more presence. It's entirely up to you, but if you've got you can listen to that sound by itself. It's pretty solid. It's a pretty solid bass sound. That Max for Live is just giving, the Max Bass is just giving it that little bit extra. Cool. So what we want to do now, so we've got our sort of main elements there. We could add another bass, something to sort of complement it. Which I think we'll come back to it for now. We'll just add some, let's add some elements. So let's get some, I don't know. So let's get us build up elements, samples. So you know what? For now, we'll just get rid of this. If you do want to create a new to save your live set, like set your default live set to open up to be the same thing every time. All you need to do is go into your preferences. So get your project set up without any without anything in it, and then you go on to, where is it? Save current set as default, and then that way whatever your set that you have with all your effects and everything ready, that will automatically open up whenever you've got a new project, just so you can get things done nice and fast. This is using sort of different things, so I'm gonna FX. Let's go on. We'll add the samples in a bit. Where are we? Build up element. Yep, we need that. Vocal snare. We'll need that as well. Let's get our synth. Command Shift and T. Right click in to change your note length. That doesn't sound too good. wee organ stab. Let's get organ. Modular church organ. God, my ears aren't working tonight. God, I can't hear that bass. I don't know what key we're in. I've been mixing literally all day. I'm trying to get this track mixed and mastered. See, hey. Cool, we've got one element there. We'll come back to tidying up and putting some more bits and bobs in it. Let's go into, I've got a wee indie dance folder, that could work. What have we got? I had some disco somewhere. Disco's got some nice sounds. Nope. Okay, let's just copy this over. Command D to copy, and then just load the new sample in. So we've loaded it. So basically want to create a call and answer phrase. So one's saying one thing, the other one's like, oh yeah, me, haha. So we're getting the right noise. A good idea to do, which I probably should have done before this tutorial, is get your samples ready. Oh, I really like that. I'm gonna just put this as a wee bit extra. If you find any ideas, a good little tip is just drag them in your project, turn it off by using the little button there, and then that way when it comes later on when you start building, you're like, oh, I could do something else. You're like, wow, I found this, woohoo! Yeah, it's good. Let's get some organs. Go into my samples. Where are my samples? That's them in there. I'm sure I've got more than that. Oh, they're right here. Organ. Could just draw a chord in. Make sure that whenever you're loading the sample in, make sure the right track's highlighted so you're able to put the right sound on the right channel. Okay. So by copying and pasting, alright, let me go back to that. By copying and pasting, if you want to draw, if you had just a synthesizer there, if you wanted to draw in any notes, you can just simply press Command C, Command V, and that copies the note, so then you can drag it up and down. Now if you know your music theory, you know you've got a perfect third, a perfect fifth, you've got sevenths as well, so all you need to do is count 1, 2, 3. So that's your third, that's your fifth. Sorry, that's really loud. Not using that note though. Cool, so add something else in. Again, we're not trying to make it perfect right now, we're literally just putting the ideas down. I think we're probably just going to be able to go through all this tonight, and then we'll go into constructing it afterwards. But yeah, the main thing is adding all of your elements and that you're going to be doing on your main section, creating them in an ideas box, because if you start constructing it beforehand, you get to a point and you're like, oh, what should I put in here? And then you end up listening to it over and over again because you're building it up. You're like, oh, yep, building up here. And then you stop and then it gets to the drop and there's nothing there. Whereas if you have everything already pre-made, you can just literally build it straight away. So that's why this bit probably takes the longest for getting all the ideas down. But then when you do have all the ideas, everything is so simple to build because it's literally just a case of adding and taking away. Job done. Really that easy. Cool. So this bit might take a little bit of a while and it might be me just rambling on and putting those ideas in, but just bear with me, you know. Feel free to use whatever samples you want and do it in whatever style that you want. Listen to the music that you're making and sort of work out, listen to the music that you want to create. Listen to the tracks that you aspire to make your music like, the labels that you want to get on, etc. Listen to the sounds that they've put in there, and then you'll sort of hear the pattern of they've got everything there and they've just taken everything away and put it in, and then they've added new bits and like different parts and different sections. Yeah, music's simple once you get to know it. Go, let's get another element in there. Yep, there we go. Again, I'm just making I'm making quite a housey track. If you were making more techie stuff, you can put vocal samples and everything in. Just whatever, it's personal preference. Cool, let's add this in. It's actually really nice. That's an under element. I'm going to copy that. Try to get the chord right. Is that a whole? It's actually already a chord, but it sounds quite nice when it's sort of muddled in. So let's put something else in. Music hits. So we've got stabs in here. Let's maybe put let's put a melody in. Okay. Oops. So I'm gonna do most things on MIDI just now. Oh, what have we got here? This guy. J, consolidate the audio. If there's ever any, I don't know if I mentioned this in the last tutorial, if ever there's any notes within a MIDI section that you want to pitch up or down, this transposition thing here, that transposes everything. So again, if we need to warp anything, there we go. Let's give it where there's space. Let's get something that's happening less frequent. So we've got sort of every bar. Again, afterwards you can start to spread everything about. Once you start building, you get more of an idea of how everything's going to sound actually in the mix, rather than just repeating over and over again. Oops. Right, let's get from the beginning here where we're at. Let's get a wee vocally schmokel. Let's get a wee movie dialogue.
Practices so many things that he bleeds from his heart.
The chimp's cabin began to heat up. What goes on inside an egg?
A little bit too much in the background.
Let me take you high. Get up, lay down, destroy my parent. The sound of my city, the sound of... Stand up, if you like the...
I quite like that. I'm gonna chop the sample up. So this is... Let's see here.
The sound of my...
Right, calm down.
The sound of my city.
So I turn beats off, put on complex.
The sound of my city. The sound of... The sound, 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 did it.
So what we can do with this is Command J, because we want to have a little bit of variation. We don't want everything repeating the same thing over and over again. So that's what we tend to do, rather than introducing new elements, which is what I was absolutely shocking for in my earlier production. I'd just be like, yeah, just add a new noise. Honestly, one of my tracks, I kid you not, I can't remember when it was. It must have been about 2 years ago. I had over 100 channels, and it's like, what are you doing, insane, mate. Like, why have you got over 100 channels? Less is more. So the less channels that you can use, the better. You know, have your percussion, have a minimal amount of noises that are going through, you know, like a little pad, and just keep it simple, because putting so many noises in just makes your track sound shit. Yeah, for anybody that knows me, has known me for a long time, or knows my earlier production, it's just like, mate, just calm down, just put less stuff in it. I'd have like 2 or 3 top loops, and it's like, just drowns the track out. So yeah, just keep it keep it simple, stupid, or keep it short and simple, however we want to call it. Cool, right, we've got our elements here. This is us pretty much ready to rock and roll and start building, because we've got all of our elements that we need. The only thing that I'm going to do, we've been on this for a while actually, so I'll keep this. I'm just going to go on to effects, so we'll start doing some effects on this, and then we'll save the building side for the rest of the track. But hopefully this will give you an idea of how you can start to build all your different elements in it. But yeah, I'll try and get the next one out later on this week, and I'll explain how to actually deconstruct it, or how to construct it. Sorry, I don't want to deconstruct it. It's already, we're trying to make it in the first place. So here we go. Let's. I'll put the effects on, and then we can call it arrivederci for a night. And then if you've got any questions, like I said, comments box, fire me a direct message. Like I said, I'm happy to help out with any of your production queries.
The sound. 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 The sound of my. The sound. The sound. The sound of my soul. The sound.
That is nice.
The sound.
Right, cool. So let's get into. In fact, we can delete samples, because we're going to use MIDI in this track. Build up element. Yeah, we'll keep that. Vocal. We've got a vocal in there already, but we could probably put another vocal in there, so we'll keep that. Okay. Right, let's. So there's different ways that you can add effects on. You can do it on individual channels, or you can create groups. So if you wanted like the percussion, you can add everything into a group, and then you can affect everything all together, or you can start to do things individually. For those who are starting out, I'm going to just put things on the channels individually. Okay, this is a little bit sharp. So by changing the attack, it changes how quickly the notes hit. So that makes it slightly softer. Here. The sound. The sound of my soul. The sound. The sound. The sound. The sound. Let's put some EQ on there. I'm going to just rattle through this quickly. The sound. The sound. The sound. The sound. That's nice. Of my soul. The sound. The sound. So Ableton's got a load of presets that you can load up into onto your reverb. If you don't want to just pull up a reverb, if you click the down arrow here, there's lots of different presets, and you get some like nice room effects. So you can choose where so let's have an example. Foyer. The sound. See, they've got things like different pre-delays, so it makes it sound like you're in a bigger room. I'm going to just go back to the standard reverb, which is quite nice. The sound. So now that I've got my reverb, should I do it as inserts? So you've got 2 options when it comes to effects. You can either run them as sends, You can either run them as inserts, so insert means inserting it onto the channel so it's affected on the channel signal path here, or you can run it as a send. So I've got some sends that are set up here. Basically what the send does, you send part of the signal from the original channel to this effect, which then affects it and then sends it back. So they're called send and returns because you send the signal there. So if I was to send, let's give an example here. If I was to send part of my signal here, so there's a delay running on this channel here, channel A. If you want to set up a new a new return channel, right click or command shift, or command, is it command? Yeah, command shift and T, not command shift and T, command alt and T, backspace and T. I don't even know what that symbol is. Option, command option and T. So, yeah, I've never used it like that. I've always just pressed insert return track. You should probably learn from teaching. And that inserts a return track, and then you can add anything that you want. You can add like a group. You can add a group of effects on it, you know, and then you send as much of the signal to that channel as you want, basically, without the original signal getting affected. So normally when you put an insert onto the channel, it will affect the volume. So when you've got a dry and wet, so say for example if you guys are DJs, and when you put the dry and wet on as your effects, you'll notice that the volume goes down if you go right the way to the top, or the signal gets completely affected. If you're using things like reverb, the volume would get affected because reverb affects the overall volume. I was going to say something else, I can't remember. But you can see here, but it depends what kind of effect you're going for. If you want a nice sort of, like for this, running an insert is a lot nicer than running a send, because it's nice to sort of mud it, like dampen the sound a little bit. But then again, if you wanted a really sharp reverb, like if you were doing a vocal, you wouldn't want the vocal completely affected by the reverb, so you would possibly run it as a send. But what we are going to do, because we don't want what we'll do, because we've got this delay set up here, we'll send part of the signal here. So if you listen here, by changing the decay time, that basically makes the reverb last longer. So let's do a similar thing. Let's just copy these effects over, we'll make it nice and washy. You could do this on a group, like I said, if you just press select all your notes and press Command G, but I want to try and get different sounds coming from these synths, so we'll do everything as inserts. We'll do everything as separate. In fact, I might actually insert and send this. So I've got another reverb set up here. Let's have a... Change the delay on that from 2 and 4. The sound. There you go. The sound of my soul. The sound. The sound. The sound. I want to make this a bit more housey, so I'm going to take the decay up on the hi-hat. The sound. The sound. The sound. The sound of my soul. The sound. The sound. Okay, well, next. So we want... This is quite low. I want this to be muddy or not, because it might work well with the bass.
The sound. The sound. The sound.
I've put that somewhere. I don't know where I've put it. Oh. Whoops. Okay, copy and paste.
The sound. The sound. The sound.
Same again. Next. That's where I put it.
Sound.
I want this to be really affected by the delay.
The sound. The sound.
Maybe not.
The sound. The sound of my soul. The sound. The sound. The sound. The sound of my soul. The sound. The sound.
Make this really reverby.
Sound. The sound of my soul. The sound. The sound. The sound.
That's a bit too much.
The sound of my soul. The sound. The sound. The sound. The sound of my soul. The sound. The sound. The sound. The sound.
What's one of those notes?
The sound. The sound. The sound. The sound of my soul. The sound. The sound. The sound. The sound
That's better.
of my soul. The sound. The sound. The sound. The sound of my soul. The sound. The sound. The sound. The sound.
There you go. That's basically how you construct the loop element of a house track. I'll probably play about with this a little bit. In fact, no, I'm going to leave it. I'm just going to leave it completely as it is, and then we can come back to changing anything afterwards. But yeah, if like I said, if you've got any questions, leave it in the comments box or give me a message directly. I hope you've learnt a lot from today. Please give me some feedback as well, because this is only the third time that I've actually taught. I've never done any online tutorials before, so yeah, if you think there's anything that I need to improve on, because I do actually want to do this as part of my career. I do want to start teaching people. So again, I'm welcome to any feedback. But yeah, I hope you did learn a lot from today, and I'll see you guys later this week. Thanks for tuning in.